What if rainy weather isn't something Scandinavians spend their lives trying to escape, but something they have learned to genuinely enjoy? Across Scandinavia, rain is simply part of the landscape, especially during the long stretches of autumn and winter. Instead of allowing gray skies to cancel the day, people often adapt their clothing, activities, and routines to the weather. Rain can create a slower atmosphere that makes ordinary moments at home feel warmer and more enjoyable. Today, we're exploring why rainy days can feel less like a problem in Scandinavia and more like an opportunity to slow down. If you enjoy discovering fascinating Scandinavian habits, subscribe to Habit Archive and join us as we explore what makes everyday life in Scandinavia so different.
You hate the rain? How could anyone hate the rain?
One reason Scandinavians handle rain differently is that it is treated as a normal part of life. A rainy forecast doesn't automatically mean that plans have to disappear. People check the weather, dress appropriately, and continue with what they intended to do. Children still go outside, commuters still travel, and families still complete their everyday routines. This removes some of the frustration that comes from constantly wishing the weather were different. Rain becomes something to work with rather than something to fight. Scandinavians also understand that enjoying rain becomes much easier when you aren't uncomfortable. Waterproof jackets, proper footwear, and useful layers make a dramatic difference. Instead of hoping the clouds disappear, people prepare for the conditions. Good rainwear doesn't have to look purely functional either. Scandinavian clothing often combines practicality with simple, timeless design. When you're warm and dry, a rainy walk can feel surprisingly pleasant. Rain can also change how a home feels. When drops hit the windows and the sky becomes darker, warm indoor spaces can suddenly feel more inviting. Soft lamps, wool blankets, books, and comfortable furniture become more noticeable. A rainy afternoon can therefore turn ordinary time at home into something special. Instead of feeling trapped indoors, people can deliberately enjoy the atmosphere. The weather outside becomes part of the comfort inside. Rain can naturally slow things down. People may walk more carefully, spend longer inside cafes, or choose quieter activities. That slower pace can create a useful break from the pressure to constantly be productive. Instead of rushing from one activity to another, there is more room to notice small details. A rainy day can therefore create an accidental pause. And sometimes slowing down is exactly what the mind needs. Rain also transforms the landscape. Forests become deeper in color, moss becomes brighter, and lakes reflect the gray sky. Wet leaves shine, streams become fuller, and the air can feel exceptionally fresh. Scandinavians who spend a lot of time outdoors learn to notice these small changes. The rain isn't necessarily hiding nature. Sometimes it reveals a version of nature that sunny weather cannot create. Few places feel more inviting on a rainy day than a Scandinavian cafe. Wet streets outside make warm interiors feel even more comfortable. People can sit beside large windows, enjoy coffee, and watch the city move through the rain. The cafe becomes a small shelter from the weather without feeling like an escape from life. Conversations seem slower. Even a simple coffee can become a memorable part of the day. There is also something naturally soothing about the sound of rain. The steady rhythm against windows and rooftops can create a consistent background sound. For some people, this makes evenings feel calmer. Instead of artificial entertainment filling every quiet moment, natural sounds can become part of the environment. A rainy evening can therefore encourage earlier winding down. The world outside becomes quieter, while the home becomes more peaceful. Scandinavian children can grow up learning that bad weather isn't automatically a reason to stay indoors. Raincoats and boots become normal parts of childhood. Outdoor play can continue through drizzle, puddles, and wet grass. This teaches a useful lesson early. Discomfort can be managed without becoming a disaster. Children learn to adapt instead of waiting for perfect conditions. That mindset can stay with them long after childhood. Rainy days can also create space for hobbies that are easy to postpone when the weather is beautiful. Reading, baking, painting, knitting, cooking, or working on personal projects can suddenly feel more appealing. There is less pressure to be somewhere else. The home becomes a place for creativity rather than simply a place to sleep. This can make an ordinary afternoon feel surprisingly productive. Rain provides the quiet background while people finally make time for things they enjoy. Weather can influence what people naturally naturally crave. On rainy days, warm soups, baked bread, roasted vegetables, and comforting meals can become especially appealing. Preparing food slowly can also become part of the experience. Instead of treating cooking as another chore, people can enjoy the warmth and smells filling the home. Rain outside can make a simple homemade meal feel more satisfying. Comfort doesn't always require something expensive. When outdoor distractions disappear, people sometimes spend more meaningful time talking. A rainy afternoon can keep friends around the same table longer. Families may sit together instead of immediately heading somewhere else. There is less pressure to keep moving. Conversations can become slower and more personal. The weather creates a natural reason to simply stay and talk. Rain can completely transform the appearance of a Scandinavian city. Pavements become reflective. Streetlights glow against wet surfaces. Colorful wooden buildings appear richer against gray skies. Umbrellas and raincoats add movement to otherwise quiet streets. Instead of making the city look lifeless, rain can give it a cinematic beauty of its own. A rainy day can also make people less interested in constantly being outside or checking what everyone else is doing. Instead, phones may be placed aside while people read, cook, or spend time together. The slower atmosphere can make digital entertainment feel less necessary. People have a chance to become absorbed in one activity. That can be surprisingly refreshing. Sometimes the weather outside creates the perfect excuse to disconnect. There is also a deeper lesson hidden inside the Scandinavian relationship with rain. You cannot control the weather. You can only control how prepared you are and how you respond. That mindset can apply far beyond rainy days. Instead of waiting for perfect circumstances, people learn to adapt to imperfect ones. Rain becomes a small daily reminder that flexibility is often more useful than resistance. After rain, the air can feel noticeably different. Plants look refreshed, dust settles, and the landscape often feels cleaner and cooler. A walk after a shower can therefore be surprisingly pleasant. The smell of wet earth and vegetation becomes part of the experience. For people who spend a lot of time outdoors, these changes are easy to appreciate. Rain doesn't always signal the end of outdoor life. Ordinary activities can feel different when rain becomes part of the setting. Walking to a bakery, taking the dog outside, or visiting a friend suddenly becomes an experience. The wet streets, umbrellas, and sound of rain create a stronger sense of place. These small moments can become surprisingly memorable. You don't need an expensive trip to create a special day. Sometimes a different atmosphere is enough. Rain doesn't necessarily make people antisocial. It can simply change where social life happens. Instead of outdoor gatherings, people may meet inside warm homes, cafes, or community spaces. Friends can cook together. Families can share long dinners. Neighbors can gather somewhere comfortable and stay longer. The weather changes the setting, but not the desire for connection. There is another reason rainy days can be appreciated. They make beautiful weather feel even more special. After several gray days, a bright morning can feel extraordinary. People notice sunlight more. Outdoor cafes suddenly become exciting. Long walks feel different. Even a simple blue sky can feel like a gift. Rain can therefore increase appreciation for the weather people usually take for granted. Perhaps the biggest lesson is that Scandinavians don't necessarily need perfect weather to enjoy an ordinary day. They adapt their clothing. They change their plans when necessary. They find beauty in nature. They make their homes comfortable. And they continue living rather than waiting for ideal conditions. One overlooked reason rainy days can be enjoyable in Scandinavia is that rain creates a natural excuse to slow down without feeling guilty about it. When the weather is wet and gray, there is less pressure to fill every hour with outdoor activities or constant plans. That slower rhythm gives people more time for simple things they might otherwise overlook, such as reading, cooking, talking, or simply sitting quietly. Instead of seeing an empty afternoon as wasted time, they can treat it as an opportunity to recover from the constant pace of everyday life. In that sense, rain can provide something modern life often takes away, a quiet period when doing less feels completely natural. And perhaps that's one of the reasons rainy days feel so different in Scandinavia. The weather doesn't just change what people do, it gives them permission to enjoy doing less. So perhaps Scandinavians don't actually love rain because rain itself is always pleasant. They have simply learned that life doesn't need perfect weather to be enjoyable. Rain can make a home cozier, nature more beautiful, conversations slower, and ordinary moments more memorable. It can also teach a valuable lesson about adaptation. You cannot control every condition, but you can control how you respond to it. Once you stop stop treating every gray sky as a problem, you may start noticing everything that makes rainy days special. If you enjoyed this look at Scandinavian life, subscribe to Habit Archive for more fascinating habits, ideas, and cultural traditions from around the world.